heavy. Knock you down when you're down already. Oh, so much to carry. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? All the drama lately, yeah, it's overrated. So unnecessary, yeah, I just can't take this feeling anymore. Leave it at the door. I've been falling over, too much on my shoulders. You can only think so much before you break down. All I really need is space to breathe. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? Knock you down when you're down already. Oh, so much to carry. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? Stop, just wait a minute. I just need a second to regain my peace of mind before I explode. 'Cause there's a lot of things I can't control. I can't control. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? Knock you down when you're down already. Oh, so much to carry. Why does everything gotta be so heavy? Ooh, to the people in the back, all the way to the front row, Ooh, now let me hear it back. Sometimes I gotta let go, let go. Ooh, to the people in the back, all the way to the front row, Ooh, now let me hear it back. Sometimes I gotta let go, let go. Ooh, to the people in the back, all the way to the front row, Ooh, now sing it on back. Sometimes I gotta let go, let go. Ooh, to the people in the back, all the way to the front row, Ooh, now sing it on back. Sometimes I gotta let go, let go. Why is everything
Hi, friends. Welcome. It's What Up Wednesday. I feel like one of those car dealership inflatable people. I thought I was on time today. I was incorrect. I was absolutely incorrect. There is, you guys, an appearance in the wild of the perfect ringlet. I don't want to disturb it. So don't look at it too carefully because it might spook. But it happened. It's just the rest of my hair is like a complete mess. Anyway, hi. Welcome to What Up Wednesday. We're going to talk about losing your temper and possibly losing your mind today on the show. Once I get to it. But I have a lot of announcements. I have a lot of things that I want to talk to you all about. And I am really looking forward to this. Like I've said so many times, this is the highlight of my week. Not just because I don't get out of the apartment ever, but also just because I get to spend a Simon Milford dubbed #Keely hour with you. So here's the thing. I've decided that the reason that my hour goes an hour and a half every time is because I think it's like a game. It's a hockey match. And it's 60 minutes of playing time, right? It just so happens that there's a lot of time that goes after that. Anyway, I am absolutely delighted to be here, and I'm going to start going through all of the comments. Ooh, lots of people on YouTube, which is good because that's going to be a thing coming up. I'll tell you more about that in a second. I was hoping to have my monitors all sorted out, but, you know, they're not. I wonder if I just do this. Hang on. Come on, iPad. Work with me here. Sidecar. Nope. I'm really trying not to do anything different today and failing. So I'm a part of this live stream community group. It's kind of like FH Umpires, but for live streamers. It's super friendly. There's lots of fantastic people and they tolerate me. So this is all a good thing. They're called the Let's Go Live Crew. Let's get Live Crew. Ugh. Oh God, what did I do? And there's certain people who are telling me over and over again, Keely, stop adding things until you can get things right. It doesn't matter that this is my 66th, 67th live stream. Oh my God, I can't believe it. But there it is. It's happening, y'all. It's happening. Okay. This is going to be interesting, says Eileen Drugmas. Very warm welcome. Nice to see you. You're new to me. I'm delighted to have met you. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for coming in over YouTube. Let's see who else is here. My new best friend, Niels. Great to see you, buddy. Crispy's in the house. Good to see you as always. Usual beverage, Rachel. Thank you. #standard. I appreciate your beverage support. I feel better just knowing that people are comfortable and, relaxing with their glasses of wine with us. It makes it a social occasion, and I want this to be social. Ian is here ready for a little bit of anger management. Good. I'm not sure if I'm the right person to talk about it, but we'll get there. Andy Waller's here. Fantastic. Megs, I'm doing good. How are you doing? Sorry. Don't mean to be creepy. I can't help it. Inga's here. Thanks for tuning in. Daniel, YouTube is 4 seconds faster. Well, that's why I'm going to do it on YouTube from now on in. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the reason why whatsoever. There's other reasons, but it's nice to know. Scott Riley's here. Good evening to you, sir. And Aline, as I said hello to you before. Aline, shoot me a DM. I want to know about you. You're a stranger to me, and I get really excited whenever I see other. I'm making an assumption, but perhaps you have a feminine identifying name. So if that is a thing for you, get in touch because I want to know all my sisters in the house. Adam Swan is here. Fantastic. Yes, right? That's probably because it's a theme I have, Daniel, in my life all the time. Oh, Ryan, I'm sorry. I know, but the fact that you even try and you tune in is so wonderful. So thank you for giving that a shot. And thanks for saying hi, because it's nice to know that you're here. And hey, #replay squad, right? You can do it. It's fine. Marvo's in the house. Fantastic to see you as always. I hope everything's going well with your fam. Robert Barlow from Blackpool. Hello, sir. And let's see. Nice merch, by the way. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a sec. Liam is here. Fantastic. Jane, I am feeling better this week. And you know why? It's always because something goes right. That was probably the dumbest thing I've ever said. Now, so yesterday I was behind and I needed to do Ruly Tuesday. Ruly Tuesday usually takes me 8 hours from start to finish. So from drafting the script, finding the clips, editing the script to fit with the clips and what I want to say, getting my lashes on, filming, forgot all the setup, getting the lights and everything all set up, editing the video, and then creating on the social media posts. It usually takes me around 8 hours. Yesterday, start to finish, 4 hours. And it's good. It's a good episode. I'm proud of it. Some of them I put out and I go, oh God, I really don't like that one. That doesn't make sense. Or, oh, I tripped over that word. Or I could have found better clips. But that one, I'm like, yeah, it's tight. It's tight. So that really put me in a good mood. And I'm also in a really good mood because I have some incredible people who are helping me out with FH Umpire stuff. Simon Milford, George Connor, Michelle Farnell, and Jen Wishart are making me feel like I am going to be able to do better stuff with you all on these live streams. So just a very public thank you to them right now. I'm still getting around to doing their official intro bios and posts and things like that. It's on the list. It's coming. But hey, you are making my life livable and me more productive. And thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Liam, I think I said before. Inga came across to Facebook because he wanted to see both. That's cool. Michael's here. Simon Parsons, great to see you as always. Gary, fantastic. Thank you for all that. Thanks for checking in with all the third team. Lou from the US of A is here. You can just feel the happiness coming off our American friends, can't you? Can't you just... Megs and Lou and AJ Alex, if she's here. Like, I don't know. Their typing just seems happier to me. Maybe that's just me. Gary, you already lost your mind. I am winning Wednesday, Megs. Absolutely winning it. Teo's in the house. Thank you. The wild... No. You can't put this in a sandwich? No. Barry, we lost sound on YouTube. Oh, I don't like hearing that. Neil still has the sound though. Huh. Niels, you keep on top of it for me, okay? Because I know you're very up on these things. Keep poking in. Mark Cummings is here. Hey, friend. From Oxfordshire. And it's back. You two. Oh, goodness. Yes. Everybody has stories. That might be Michelle on the Facebook group. I'm just going to assume it's always Michelle. And that's Michelle Farnell. Very good friend. Simon Dye is here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, Simon, you sent me a very good article. Thank you for sending that in. Brian's here. Hey, friend from South Africa. Prit Paul. Rupert. I'm looking forward to hearing them. So, as we're gearing up, okay, here's the thing. Let's get ready for this. You can share your stories or your question, obviously, through the comments in the chat, as you always do. I enjoy that, and it's a great way. But if it's too long of a story and you're thinking, maybe if I could just tell the world, if I could tell Keely on the live stream about it, this is something we can do. I have to turn on my interview mode. Oh, thank goodness this is working finally. Interview mode, there it is. You can call in. You can video in. What's the right way to say that? Anyway, fhumpires.com/join. And I'll bring you on and we'll have a chat about your scenario. Now, I know that can be really, like, you might feel intimidated or scary, but remember, we're all best friends here. All of us are best friends, so nobody's going to judge. But the one thing you absolutely have to do for me is you have to have headphones on, okay? Because otherwise, there will be sound echoing coming out of your speakers and into the mic, and it'll make for a miserable, miserable experience for everybody. You're also going to want to mute if you're watching this whole thing in your browser, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or even on Twitter. You're going to want to mute that. But that's going to be your problem. That's going to be your problem in your headphones when you're wearing your headphones, but not a problem for me and for the rest of the broadcast. So that's the good news. That's what's happening. Let's see if I can do a little bit. I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit out of place here. Camera effects. Is this going to work? Zoom and pan. Okay. There. That's better. Too much headroom. Too much headroom. Max headroom. No problem. I'm going to miss you, obviously, as I always do, but you're very welcome. You're doing it all. Where can you DM me? Oh my God. Everywhere. You can DM me on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on the Facebook page. So go to FH Umpires Facebook business page. Go there. I'll give you my WhatsApp anyway at some point. And Jacob, how was it down in your area? Because I thought you were California. And I didn't know you were... Yeah, you've all been complaining about the cold, but it hasn't been that bad. There you go. Hamish, hi. Welcome. Anik's here. Okay, let's see. What's the subject for this week? Umpires fighting players, knife fight on the touchline. Nope. Here's Daniel's story as he's breaking in already. Player picking up an item that was thrown by the crowd onto the pitch and pretending that it hit him. That sounds like a very funny story. And if that, oh, you're in Texas, Jacob. Oh, It got 7 degrees. Somebody translate that to moose temperature for me, because I don't know what that means. Beaver meter. What's the 7 Fahrenheit? Hey Siri, what's 7 Fahrenheit in Celsius?
70 degrees Fahrenheit is 21.1 degrees Celsius.
What is 7 Fahrenheit in Celsius? Sorry. Hey Siri, what is 7 Fahrenheit in Celsius? Oh, minus 14. It came up on my phone. He decided not to talk to me because he saw me making faces about him. He's very rude. Yes, of course, Siri is a man in my house. I get to tell him what to do. Okay. Thank you all for tuning in. I am delighted. And we're going to go through some things, but there are some announcements. And I'm going to do them, and I'm going to do them right. And I'm not going to mess anything up. Watch me. Watch me. I'm very excited. Very excited about this. Okay, first of all, coming up, this is going to be on March 3rd. None other than the legend from the north, Dan Barstow. Is he kind of north? He is north. He's north enough. We'll claim him. Dan Barstow is going to come on Umpired Home next week, and he is going to tell us lots of gossip, obviously, and he's going to lead us through his semifinal World Cup experience. Now, this game is fascinating for a lot of reasons, because I think it was the best game of that entire tournament. It was an absolute barn burner. It was gorgeous hockey, lots of interesting stuff. The umpiring was fantastic, obviously, but there was one decision that keeps cropping up on the socials. And somebody, I don't know if it was Real Hockey or somebody like that, put up the clip, and it was the aerial that came out, and it was a Dutch aerial, and it was intercepted by an Australian player who broke up the field, scored the tying goal, and chaos. It was chaos, and nobody can understand it. Guess what, friends? Guess what? I am going to bring this home for you. First of all, by doing a Really Tuesday next week on the aerial. I don't know. Can I do that in under 10 minutes? I have no freaking clue. Let's see. Let's see. I'm throwing the challenge out to myself by committing to you. Aerial next week, Really Tuesday. And then Dan Barstow and I are going to talk about it over the Umpired Home. So just like we had a great, fantastic, interesting call to talk about with Jakub a couple weeks ago, we're doing it with Dan. I am so excited. It's going to be so much fun. I'm a big fan of Dan's. I've known him for quite some time, and he's one of those umpires that, you know, gave me some support when I was over in England, and I really appreciated that. And so it's going to be really nice to have him on the show and be able to share his witty, sharp personality and insights with you all on umpiring. And he's got some really interesting ways of reviewing your own video. So I'm going to get him to talk about that when he's on the show. Now, the other thing that you may have noticed on the graphic, let me go back to it for a second. See how it says only on YouTube? That's a thing. So Facebook has not been my friend lately, and it's been causing me some problem. Plus, there's a whole audience of people that are on YouTube that don't hang out on Facebook. And finding this on Facebook is a lot harder than it is to find it on YouTube. So I've decided that so that we can all talk together, it's all going to YouTube next week. Okay. If you hate this idea, DM me and I'll ignore you. I'm just kidding. No, give me your input. But I really think that this will help us get our conversations all together, but in a place that opens up the possibilities to more people. There's a lot of people who don't want to be on Facebook, and I respect that. I'm not saying being part of the Google Borg is any better, but maybe it's a bit better. Maybe. I don't know. But some people think it is. So that's important. Let's see. System 3 says no. I love it. Hi, Maritz. Everybody's finding each other's friends and hooking up. I love it. Kathy, great to see you. Let's see. Aline, you lost your temper so many times on the pitch you can't count. And yes, Marvel, I heard the news that UK hockey is back from the 29th of March. Oh my God, you guys, get to your fitness now. I had a chat with an umpire yesterday on one of our training calls as she segs into the next topic and said, hey, how's your off-season training going? And he said, well, my belly has been very impressively growing. I've been cultivating it very solidly. I'm like, okay, dude, let's get this sorted. Which means I have to send you the training program. Sorry, it's coming. Okay. I'm not going to say who that was, but there you go. But speaking of training calls and the yellow Facebook group, hey, did you know that that is a thing? Hang on. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. Yeah, look at this. So first of all, if you are just getting to know us on FH Umpires, you can contribute $3 a month and get a green membership. And that means that you get full-time access to What Up Wednesdays. The yellow membership, $17 a month. And you get to talk to me for a solid hour every month if you want to. And we will mentor, we will talk. And then the red membership, $25 a year for each seat, minimum 20. If you are a Hockey Umpire Association, if you have 20 friends that you can all tolerate and you can all organize like a herd of cats and you want to be your own Hockey Umpiring Association, you call me up, group membership, okay? And lots of stuff happens. We are growing like a weed right now, which is one of the reasons I've been so stressed over the last month and why I need Simon, Michelle, and George and Jen's help so much. I'm going to welcome AJ Small and Henry Beardsall. I'm trying to Yellow. Very warm welcome, folks. I hope maybe you're on this broadcast. Maybe you're not. I don't know. But you're going to get lots of access to all this stuff. And I'm just going to send some random thanks to a couple green members, Roger Addison and Peter Winter. Very big thank you for being supporters on green. And that's all it takes is just $3 a month. And I'll sing your name on the broadcast and I will send you virtual hugs because I'm so happy that you're doing this with us. Peter was in the clubhouse room yesterday. There's another thing I can talk about. Clubhouse. Every Tuesday at 1900 GMT, I co-host a clubhouse room with Mark Egner, who is a level 3 FIH coach, who is in charge right now of the Dartmouth Hockey College program and runs unique sports camps. So he's a fantastic coach and a very, very cerebral coach. And George Connor is in there with us. And we talk about ways that coaches can understand the rules better. So we try to talk about rules and interpretations and stuff from a coaching perspective. So it's been really fun. So if you're not on Clubhouse yet, DM me if you have an iPhone or an iPad that is newer than, I think you need at least a 7 or an 8 because it doesn't work on older operating systems, older versions of iOS. But as long as you have a new enough phone or iPad, DM me for an invite. I will send it to you and you can join Clubhouse and be a part of all those discussions. Super fun. Peter, I hope you heard me talking about you. I said nice things. Let's see what England Hockey have to say following the consultations with the government. Oh, so we're not really sure. Oh, hi, Henry. Welcome. Newest friend. Okay. So there was something else I was going to show you about that. 1-on-1. There we go. Ooh, it actually worked. So this is something that AJ and Henry and everybody who is a yellow member can take advantage of is the one-on-one session. As you can see over there, 60 minutes with me. So go book that. fhumpires.com/1-on-1. And if you're not a yellow member yet, that's okay. Why don't you just call me up for 30 minutes and we'll have a chat. I know, because I just want to talk to more people. That's how I live. So that's fhumpires.com, 30 minutes free. 30 min free. Okay? If you have any problems with the bookings, let me know. Calendly's been weird. It's not been updating my actual availability when I try to clear things off. How am I doing for time? I've been talking a lot about other things. Sorry. That's where we go. I just wanted to tell you all those things. Okay, and then the last thing, Ian alluded to it earlier, but it's a soft launch. Shh. We haven't really super announced it because I'm really nervous about everything that's happening on with Brexit and deliveries and pandemic delay problems, but the Printful store and the drop shipping is up. So if you've been waiting to grab one of those duffel bags or one of these beautiful units, this is in my hand all day, day, full of tea, all day, day. Sorry, let me demonstrate how great it works. That was terrible. And clothing. So the clothing is coming. George and I are going to sit down and decide clothes because he's been testing them out and seeing what works. So that is at fhumpires.com/shop. But don't tell anybody else, okay? Let's keep this small. Because if there's changes that need to be made or things don't work out. Okay, what have I missed before we start? Yeah. Oh, yeah, you did. Oh, that's okay. Next time. Don't worry. It was a really good chat, though. Eggs is so smart. He's just, I love talking to him. He makes me think about umpiring in such a different way. And I think that's what the real value of that room is going to be as we get bigger and bigger and bigger, is that we're going to be able to talk about the role that the rules play in the game from a competitive perspective and how you can get the most out of it instead of thinking about it as a way that, oh God, I have to understand the rules. Blah. It's no, how can I use the rules to win? It's good stuff. So when I was not winning Tuesday, several of you noticed I was going on a Zoom meeting. And somehow I pressed go live in Ecamm. I don't know how that happened. So there I was, live on YouTube, Facebook page, Facebook private group, and Twitter. And I was making faces at the camera, I've seen the replay, and I was making faces at the camera, and I stood up, and the camera angle's really awful. So, oh man. I'm leading by example, people. I'm leading by example by showing you and being very open about my failures. I make mistakes all the freaking time. And I still get up the next day and try to do it again better the next time. Too stupid to quit. I'm an umpire. That's just how it goes. So I hope that you can take an entertainment value, but also some inspiration out of the way that I continually mess up. There you go. Helen, I have been incredibly busy, but it's the best. I'm having so much fun being with you all. Mike McDonough, welcome. Okay. Yeah, I know. You were one of the people. I had somebody from the Let's Get Live crew from that live stream group come on, and she said, yo, how did I miss this? And I'm like, you didn't. I made a mistake. Oh my God, yes, right? And I didn't pick my nose once. Okay, let's get on to the topic for today. I think I've like rambled way too long. Thanks for being patient with me. Yeah, we're going to talk about losing your temper on the pitch. So I did a Facebook poll and on the Facebook stories. So Facebook stories, but mostly on the Instagram stories. And I'm about to pull it up again if I can remember how to do it. Okay, there it is. Let's see if there's updated figures. If you don't follow us on the Instagrams. You might want to give it a shot because we put up stories every so often that are a little bit more about, like getting input and asking questions, and there's, temporary things that are up there, time-dependent things. So it's a good way to get like the up-to-date news. So the poll results. Thank you, everybody who voted. I'm not going to, name or shame anybody because, this is you're trusting me with your information. Maybe you don't want everybody to know that you've lost your ish on the pitch. 26 people said yes, and 19 people said no. That's a big number. That's a lot of people. And so my next story was like, hey, let's talk. Let's talk about this. Because at one point that was 55%, but I think it's a little higher after a few more votes came in. And this is all inspired because a whole bunch of people got in touch with me over DM and said, hey, did you see what happened in that football match thing that happened in England a little while ago? So I'm going to pull up the video and we're going to watch it. And this is a Mr. Drysdale. Okay, and hopefully you can hear me talking over top of this. Okay, there's no commentary or anything on this, but you can hear everybody shouting, but I'm going to let that play a couple times because it is very brief. I thought it was going to be a lot more dramatic than that, but hey, it's there. So evidently, from what I read, the player in blue felt that he had been fouled inside the box, and so he deserved something called a penalty. And he was angrily speaking in the direction of Drysdale, probably calling him a whole bunch of names. And when he got there, Drysdale, what did they call him? Faced up to him. As we would say in the North Americas, got in his grill. Got in his grill, and he, I need to probably stop this now because it's still looping. I can hear it in my, here. Pause. Oops. No, not that. Pause this. See? Every live stream. Let me see if I can stop this from playing for me because it's just, there we go. Okay. And now I've got like a random, there we go. Welcome to What Up Wednesday. I'm Keely Dunn. Good to see you. Okay. So a lot of people were very interested in this play. And now that I've seen the scenario, I find it very interesting as well. And I want to talk about it first in the context of that culture that I know nothing about. So I'm relying on you folk to get in here and let me know a little bit more about it. But my impression, very interesting. There's Peter saying that the stills did look a lot worse than the video. And that, fair enough. That's kind of exactly what I thought. It looks, and the way that it was described really made me feel like the referee had initiated that entire, playing around it live. He had initiated the contact, but the player was walking towards him. And it would appear that he was shouting quite sternly at him. It was the end of the game. I don't know, was it a tight game? Probably. It was close. And Mr. Drysdale did issue an apology after scoring up to and pressing heads against Ipswich Town's Alan Judge during their 0-0 draw. What a surprise. What a surprise, football. You got a 0-0 draw. So the things that I'm interested in talking about with this is that we know that football, soccer, has a very different culture than what we do. Very, very different. And I'm wondering what you all think. First of all, before we get into our experiences of hockey, if you were that referee, if you were in that situation, in a football match, in a culture where there is always an unfathomable amount of abuse that gets sent your way. The pushing, the shoving, people coming right up to your face. Because let me tell you something before we get it twisted. I would never, ever be able to be a football referee. Because if I had that kind of thing coming at me, I would be in jail. I would. I was one of the people who voted yes to losing their temper on the pitch. I've never gotten into a player's face. I've never physically contacted them, but I've sure felt like I was gonna. I was a boxer in my 20s. I've always been a pretty aggressive person. And you can tell when I get passionate and I get talking, I am very like, yeah, let's go. And metaphorically, of course, but I am not intimidated. I don't back down. And if I felt like my physical safety or integrity was being challenged and a player was touching me, getting on me, I would absolutely go nuts. I would. Not that that's the right thing to do. So I'm actually really surprised that there's a reaction like this within the football community, and that manager of Ipswich Town was like, this is horrendous and this is the worst thing I've ever seen happen. I don't know exactly what he said, but he said something pretty similar to that. And that the apology wasn't sufficient and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, really, dude? Like, that wasn't a sufficient apology? What's he supposed to do? As this columnist, so this was sent to me by Simon Dye. This columnist here, I can't show. Let's see if I can zoom out a little bit. Alison Rudd. Simon, I don't know what paper this is from, and I'd like to give credit to where it came from, but this is Alison Rudd's take, and she had a lot of things to sort of say about this, including that, like, really, are you surprised? Are you surprised that this happens all the time? If anybody wants a link to this, I'll put it in the description in the Facebook and the YouTube and all that, so that you can have a look at this yourself. And yeah, this is Paul Lambert. He called Drysdale's subsequent apology very soft, although it's difficult to see how the referee could have been more objectively contrite, having said sorry to both the club and the player, and admitted he fell short of the professional manner expected of officials. So, I mean, to me, this is an example of a culture where things have just gotten out of control. And how can you, as an observer, a fan, a player, another referee of this sport, say, wow, that was shocking, and I just can't believe that happened? I want to see what everybody else is saying on the comments first before I go any further, as soon as I can find my cursor. Peter's saying that the game had been bad-tempered or feisty throughout. Hi, Lou, you're on YouTube. Facebook has dropped comments. See, this is why Facebook, it's probably because I said something bad about it, and then Zuckerberg's like, whoa, Keely Dunn. No. Just kidding. I think the ref has had his arms out in a keep your distance stance and the player came in close. Yeah, we couldn't see from the angle that was there, and maybe there's other footage out there that shows that. But that's one of those things that it's one of those techniques that we get trained in. And hopefully this is something that is part of your arsenal. So I've had to use this on a few occasions, and I might be able to pull up a photo that I've used before in contexts of showing off times I've been umpiring. But when players are coming to you and you need to protect your space, FHU socials, there it is. You need to protect your space. You need to give the players an indication of exactly how close they are permitted to get before they have come too far. Is that they're approaching you and you put your hands out and you keep them there. And you keep them there. Put your hands out. Put your hands out. If they touch your hands, they have now gone too far. So you can keep them at that arm's length, because that distance, if players get closer to you than that, you get what you had with this Drysdale guy. And that is not good. I don't think I'm going to be able to find this particular photo very quickly at all. But nope, not there. So that may have been the case there, but it seemed to me like it wouldn't have mattered, because in that game, in football, players just, they're like grabbing his shoulder, grabbing his arms, trying to turn around, trying to get his attention. Man, again, I can't even imagine having that much contact with players at any point. Sunday Times, thank you very much. So everybody, this Allison Red column is in the Sunday Times, and I will share. Thank you very much, Mark Cummings. Inga, let's see. A limit testing player restarted the game after goal by playing it knee high at my colleague who had just awarded the goal. Our assessor then tore me apart after the match for issuing a yellow card. Did they tear you apart because it should have been a red? Or did they tear you apart because you gave any card? I sure don't like the sound of that. And you just got dropped from the Facebook live stream. Holy smokes. The player accepted the apology. That's good news. But the players can act like the south end of a northbound horse. That's a beautiful way of putting it, Lou. Thank you. Yes. I absolutely appreciate and understand and agree that we have a much higher standard of conduct than any player would. No question about it. It is not acceptable. It would not be acceptable for umpires to ever behave as and give back what they've had. But there has to be a point at which you are actually concerned about your safety, and you're like, what else can he do? Run away? Just stand there mute and just let these guys, because they don't have a culture where this gets penalized. And that's the point of Allison's piece here, is basically because the culture has never cracked down on this behavior, especially at the top levels, this is the result. So one of the points that I would want to make at this juncture here, friends, is that this is why we are not going to allow hockey to ever get like football or ice hockey or insert other sport that isn't as cool as hockey here. Because once the horse is out of the barn, you are going to have amazing difficulties trying to invite it back. It's impossible. And you get into that situation. My argument is that that behavior has never been cracked down upon, because that is what sells eyeballs. That kind of misbehavior and people's enjoyment of watching referees getting shouted at and pushed around and all that sort of thing is literally what sells the sport on some level, because there sure isn't anything else exciting happening on that pitch. Sorry. I can't help it. I don't like the sport at all. And any time that I've seen at the top levels, commentators getting on the officials and raising their voices as they're speaking about officials and getting wrapped up in the emotionality of players who are shouting at the umpires on the pitch, I have absolutely lost my mind, because that is the start of the slippery slope that gets us to where football is. Because they are setting the example as commentators that the spectacle of abusing an official is something worthy of watching. It's part of the package. It's part of the role. It's what you do. When you're a referee, this is just, you have to have a thick skin. Bullshit. Absolute beefsteak. No, that's not how it works. Okay, your comments as well before I get into there. Yeah, Jane, they definitely have a better culture there. Let me bring that comment out of my face. It appears to me, and again, I'm not a knowledgeable rugby person, but it appears to me like they really do have the right, some really good things happening in that sport in terms of how the players address. I get weirded out by all the sir and ma'am stuff. I think I mentioned on another broadcast when a player addressed me as ma'am, and it was a player from the Indian team. That's their culture. That's what they did. But she said ma'am to me, and I thought she was being sarcastic, because I wasn't that old at that point. And I was like, who you calling ma'am? Because in Canada, it's just not a thing, right? You literally would be sarcastic unless you were actually telling somebody in a senior authoritative position, which doesn't happen much. We're a very casual culture. So, and titles to me don't confer respect. Tone of voice and the words that you use about how you express yourself confers respect. But just calling somebody sir or ma'am doesn't do it for me. Anyway. Let's see. LVDS hockey umpire. Tell me who you are too, okay? Because I don't know everybody's handles. I was writing that always amazes you how close football players are allowed to come to an umpire and the group gathering they do. Yeah, right? And even because we're all umpires, we're empathetic beings. When we see that happen, we get angry because we know we can imagine how that feels. Like, hopefully that hasn't happened to you, but I've had a couple of occasions, literally two occasions, where players have come at me aggressively and I've done the hands out trick. And then, on one occasion, poof, it dealt with it very beautifully and I didn't have a problem. The other time, all hell had already broken loose elsewhere, and I talked about that on the Christmas What Up Wednesday, and you can go back and watch that to find out what I was talking about it. Ooh, everybody's over from Facebook. I didn't mean to I didn't do this on purpose. I'm sorry, everybody. Simon, I've always thought soccer had a number of rules which causes conflict between players and ref. That's interesting. I'd like to hear more about that, and maybe not in a very specific sense, but how do you think hockey rules don't cause those conflicts? I happen to really like our rule book for a lot of things. I criticize it a lot. Yes, I have my comments, but I think there's a lot of really good ways that the rule book is set up, and it's so much based on, it's purpose-based. The rules serve a purpose, and it's about understanding that purpose, and then you can apply them. It's very simple, right? And once you attract players and coaches' attention to the purpose of the rule, they understand it a lot better too. It's just that it's often not presented to them like that. They think, oh, here's a set of really artificial restrictions that, there's no rhyme or reason to them. Well, there's a lot of rhyming and reason going on. They are rapping in there with some mad sense. Inga, I'm sure that you were just like, yep, bye. Bye, Felicia. Because that is ridiculous. So Inga's referring back to an incident that happened on her pitch where a player restarted the game by playing the ball at knee height at her colleague. I think this video actually went over social media. It was from, I think it was a Joburg game, and it was a club match, and a player literally turned around from the top of the D, and the umpire was off close to the sideline at an angle, and the player turned around against the flow of the play and hit the ball straight at the umpire. Full-blooded, boom, swing. It's a red. It's a red, and it's a you don't ever get to play this game again. Because that is nowhere near accidental. That's pure premeditation, and you are not an acceptable participant in this game. We haven't even gotten to managing our tempers yet. Yeah, way too much tolerance there. Ice hockey is even worse than football in your eyes. You know, I don't know. I watch a lot of ice hockey. I have, and the language is ridiculous, but the actual physical, you don't have players skating up to players, to referees. They don't skate up to them and start pushing them or grabbing their arm and trying to get their attention. That doesn't happen. You can't do that in ice hockey. That's like one of those bright lines that they have that, you know, you'll be getting a game misconduct and you'll be sitting in the disciplinary chair. So at least at the NHL level, it's not permitted. And I think that's very important because that at least sets what should be the precedent for every other level. And whether, you know, Canadian major junior hockey follows that, or American college, or, you know, Russian league or whatever, KHL, that's another story. But at least if you've got the right tone being set at the top level, then it's a little bit better. Let's see. Daniel, the craziest thing you've ever seen is one umpire had players hammering him because his colleague reversed a decision majorly incorrectly. He yelled 5 players before walking off. Yeah. Sounds like a good approach. The player had been testing limits through the game and showed generally bad-tempered behavior. So that's an interesting point. And I like to talk about that in the context of us losing our tempers in a game, is that we don't have that climate that football does. So what happens in a match to get to that point where a player would come up and put their hands on us, yell in our face, get to the point where we get so angry at them that we would put our foreheads on them and square up? And what I would say, this is not victim blaming, but this is, we need to use our management tools that we have at hand. Like in Inga's case, we give that red card if that happens. But were there opportunities early in the game to intervene and communicate and diffuse the situation? And I don't mean diffuse in the sense of excusing it. I mean finding different ways to handle it so you can divert that energy or divert that person off the pitch. Because if they've been causing problems all game, what was done to deal with that in the meantime? That's something to consider, right? And one of the techniques that I use when I'm getting frustrated at a player and I'm feeling myself taking personally the things that they're talking about, here we go, here's some actual constructive advice for you, is I find a technique that I can use that will give me another direction. So in the same way that I'm trying to redirect a player's anger and frustration to something else, a different outlet. I redirect my temper into another outlet, and I give myself an opportunity to do something constructive about the situation. And it might be, for example, using the captain. So you may have a conversation with a captain, whether you stop time in the game or you take an opportunity, an interval break, and you say, look, number 7 is stepping over the line, and I don't want to send them off the pitch. I want them to be able to contribute to this game. Do you? Then you need to fix it. Don't let them speak to me that way. Don't let them speak to my colleague that way. Don't let them get angry at the other players that way. Please do something and control your player, as is your responsibility. Okay? And I've taken a positive step. I've done something. That energy's come out. And because I'm not confronting the player who's causing the problem, it's not about like, hey, you're being a jerk. You're not being a jerk. So, hey, let's work together. And so instantly you have a different emotional transference that comes through that. And that can be something that goes. I'm a really firm believer that an incident like that happened in that football match, or that happened in Inga's match, or that has happened to you as you're all starting to share your stories as well, they don't come out of the blue. They don't just materialize out of nothing, just sort of randomly all of a sudden. It's usually an accumulation of things that have happened in the game. And we have the responsibility. It is our responsibility to deal with it before it gets to that point. And if we haven't, then we deal with it at that point. But as what happened in Inga's game, not giving that card, which should have been a red, but not even giving a yellow or not even giving a warning. F that S. I don't know how else to say that. The Facebook Live is totally down. Mike, oh my gosh. Okay. As long as we've got this YouTube going and there's a redirection, cool. If anybody can comment on the Facebook live stream page and post the link to this, you'd be my best friend. I could do it, but I'll get very confused. Call you ump, no need for sir. It's a bit deferential. Ian says, yeah, and I mean, ump is fine, but I introduce myself to players and I'm okay with them using my name. It's not a swear word. It's my name. And I'm okay with that, again, with the right tone of voice. You know when somebody is being a jerk to you, and it doesn't matter if they're calling you by name or they're calling you ump or umpire or ma'am. Again, real respect comes from the way you treat people, not the titles you accord them. Rugby's the best example you've seen, says Rachel. We're closer to rugby, but still a way to go. Absolutely. Oh, hi, Lauren. Okay, thank you. Facebook has crash closed. Offside might be maybe a conflict-causing area because it's so difficult. Laws of football, rules in hockey, room for interpretation by the umpire and not so much by a ref. That's a really interesting point, Peter, and obviously I'm taking your word completely for this, that one of the conflict-causing touch points in football can be that, first of all, they're called laws, so culturally that kind of imputes a very different feeling. And I really like this point because I hear this often from people, that they say the subjectivity that umpires have is just, it's terrible. It ruins the game. You never know what an umpire is going to call. And I throw that right back in those people's faces and I say, that's because you never know what's going to happen. Because the fact situations are different and you don't want a black and white umpire. Trust me, I've seen a lot of them in action. And it's terrible to watch. It's terrible to watch. And when you watch a beginner umpire or an umpire who isn't well versed in hockey culture, the spirit of the game, and I don't want to pick on Americans particularly, because I am very sure that Lou and Megs and all of the people who joined in from the States, and AJ, they are deliberately making sure that they are getting their hockey culture. So you guys are doing exactly what you need to do, because you will not be those kind of umpires. But I've seen them where they think they're wearing black and white stripes. And I really, again, that the inference to that is just terrible. And they call the game black and white because they think that that is the best way to serve the game. And fight me, because I really don't believe it is. We just have to be better at the way that we apply our subjective interpretations so that we're getting the best result for the game, even if somebody doesn't agree with our decision, because it negatively affects their team. So, Barry, losing temper is the ultimate outcome if game management relationships fail over 70 minutes. It's very true. It's very true. And I'm glad you've pulled that out, Barry, and you've recognized it. Soccer players regularly kick up the ball to delay free kicks, and the players are expert in delaying the play if they're trying to waste time. Yeah, so we have, as you saw on Really Tuesday that I put out late last night, we have a rule that stops that from happening. And if we do our jobs well, it doesn't happen. So that's maybe something that helps. Our rules do actually help address those frustrations, keep the game flowing, and keep it moving, because let's face it, again, it's redirecting. My favorite part of the self-pass rule is that it distracts players from yelling at you because they got to play the game, because the game's going. So it's fantastic. You're like, bye, Felicia. I got to go umpire, and you got to go play. Let's talk about this later. And then later they've forgotten. It's a great management tool. Your whistle timing can be one of your strongest management tools. And a game that's fast and exciting for the players to be engaged in, instead of being bored, standing around, watching each other being effing jerks and diving and rolling around on the ground. Well, so there you go. So that's another technique that I would draw your attention to, is whistle timing. And it seems like it's tangential, but I think those two are very, very intimately connected. Good whistle timing diffuses situations, it prevents them from ever starting, and it creates a diversion so that you also can stop yourself from getting too angry and upset on the pitch, because now you've got another job to do instead of focusing on what the player just said to you. Nick Watt says a sin bin will work really well in football. Don't know why they don't try it. Yeah, I know, right? Mark, I believe they use a sin bin in the lower level. Yeah, they're probably discussing that. Lou, got a bail for a telecon. Thanks for popping in, Lou. Appreciate it. Atta girl, Rach. Well done. You've always recognized it was earlier failures, and that's okay. Look, it's okay that we mess up on this, because management is the most difficult skill. It is at the top of the Maslow's hierarchy of umpiring. Player management, those soft skills, all that stuff is up there, and we are always still honing our knowledge of the rules, and then positioning, and then interpretations and skills, and then habits to allow those other things to happen. And then player management is right at the top. And if any of the other components are things that are in your focus, it's really tough to have the top stuff. So, very important. Mark's saying that they have a 10-minute sin bin in the lower level of football. Good to know. Inga, everybody learned from it, but it's difficult for a lot of players who accuse you of having it in for you and her. Okay. this is going to bring me to the sort of the next point of tangible techniques. Maybe this isn't so tangible, but it is definitely a technique to think about when we're dealing with our own tempers on the pitch. And let's see if I can bring this up properly at all. Okay. Okay. So let's get a little personal here. I don't talk about my partner very much, Corey. He's a fantastic guy. But one of the things that he has really brought into my life is that he is a Stoic. And he's not a Stoic from the ironclad no emotions, but he practices Stoicism and he speaks about Stoicism. So he's got a podcast called the Fit Stoic Podcast. And I asked him a few days ago, I said, so what is something that I can tell the umpires if they want to draw from Stoic philosophy or principles that could help them in dealing with their anger on the pitch when they're receiving confrontational behavior from the players? And so he pulled this out from a podcast that he had done a little while ago, and there's that's the link there to it, FSP-anger. If you want to have a listen, he has a very calming voice. He speaks very slowly and very calmly. He is literally my opposite. And this is what he contributed, that whatever's upsetting you is never the cause of your upset. Events have no inherent meaning. Your upset comes from what you've decided the event means for you. You cannot be harmed by anything but your own choice to accept that you've been harmed. You need to give others or the circumstances your permission for that. You are the authority in your life. That authority cannot be taken from you. It can only be relinquished by your leave. So, heavy, but there's a lot to be drawn from that. And I'm not saying that this is easy. I'm not saying this is something that we can just, trot out and instantly implement in our lives. Trust me, I've even seen Corey get a little bit upset. People driving poorly, that pushes his buttons. Or when something doesn't work on his computer. He sometimes relinquishes his authority over his own emotions. But I've learned from him that it really is about our choice as to how we react to it. And anytime a player is upset at us and they're angry at us, it isn't about us. We are a representative. We are a figurehead. Because let me tell you, there have been players who I have made calls against in the past here in my local league. So people I've known for 30, 35 years who I've been playing with and against and umpiring for 35 years. And I could do something really, really terrible. It doesn't happen often, but I do make mistakes. And they will not be able to abuse me because I'm Keely. I'm the person they've known for 35 years. They've been to my birthday parties. You can't treat somebody like that who is a human being. So if they are that angry at you, they're angry at you as a representative, as a symbol of their frustration. And accordingly, your emotional reaction, you want to frame in that. You want to process it like, okay, they're not yelling at me. They're yelling at umpire. How best to handle this as umpire? And you depersonalize it. And for me, that has been a very effective way to diffuse my own reaction. And again, it gets me from how am I feeling about this thing that's happening to what am I going to do about this thing that's happening? What are my action steps? And I'm really big into going into the future and reading ahead, and don't dwell on the past. You have your action plan for dealing with what happens, but then it's like, okay, what am I going to do? And if your conscious decision is, I'm going to be really, really mad about this, okay. But that's probably not the conscious decision that you're really, really going to make in that moment. I hope that makes sense to you. I'm going to check your comments and see what you're all saying about this. Mike has a big story for us. Okay. Player red carded, shouted at umpire, "You will be hearing from my lawyer?" Umpire got his wallet out and said, "You will be hearing from my colleagues." He was a police officer. Fair. As a non-practicing lawyer, but someone with a very strong legal background and having practiced for a little bit, I can say that I'd be like, yeah, you'll be hearing from my friends too. So there you go. Yes, it does make telling stories hard. And that's why we have the guest feature. But there you go. Graham, red carded and under 18 just before our season for calling me a cheat. Not sure if any ban was dished out as hockey was stopped after it. Oh, that's, yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things that, again, it's not about you getting angry that you were called a cheat. Because obviously you're not. It's got nothing to do with you and the actions you've taken. You are preserving the integrity of your colleague, you, everybody in your umpiring community, everybody who umpires around the damn world. We are protecting the symbol and the icon of the umpire, because that cultural understanding is required for us to do our jobs, that we are not cheats, that we are doing the best job we can in the moment, and we are not intentionally trying to screw anybody out of anything. So you have to take action. You have to take action, not because it makes you mad. It makes me mad, but that's not why you do it. It's not why you do it. You do it because you have to protect all of us. So thanks, Graham, for sharing that story. I think the difference with punishment, with a timeout for the players, with a green and yellow helps greatly. Absolutely, right? It's a diffusing intermediate step. And it gives us a tool that doesn't feel so severe. It doesn't feel so serious. And can really take the steam out of the moment, and then that player can return and, and do better, and it takes them out of your presence as well, which is always good. I've always just thought that when I'm carding a player who's doing disruptive things, I'm taking them away from the game so they're not getting other players riled up, either in retaliation from the opposition or their teammates getting riled up. And that's why there's very specific guidelines as to what players can do when they're sitting on the suspension chair. They can't yell at their bench players, anything. They actually, at top levels, they have to stay quiet. They're not allowed to do any of that, because that's part of it, is that they are being shut down from the rest of the game so that they're not disrupting the proceedings. And if they don't keep their mouths shut, their suspension is going to be extended. So that's a really important element. Thank you, Moritz, for contributing that. Okay, Facebook's still broadcasting but not posting any comments. Facebook. Yep. I do agree with this, Daniel. I really do. And we've had discussions in the past about red card, what I believe are just mandatory red card offenses or behaviors, and it's the commission or offering of violence, slurs of racist, homophobic, transphobic nature, any of those things. And accusing umpires of cheating. Rachel, you had a case where the attacker lost his cool, but one of the defenders stepped in to calm him down. I later discovered the defender was none other than Nathan Stagno. man, if that dude was getting mad at me on the pitch, that would be one of those rare occasions I'd be like, I don't think I'm going to step to you. You win. Cool. I'm going to go over here. He's a very, very personality-wise and physically intimidating individual. I have a friend who is no longer an FIH umpire, and I don't want to, I'm not going to share too many details about him because I don't want to point anything his way. But during his career, that was like probably the one challenge he really had was his temper. And he was 6'4", 200 and something. And if you think that I can smack my angry eyes in and I can look very aggressive and angry, my resting bitch face was nothing compared to what he could have. Like, he looked like murder. And there were occasions where he got frustrated, and it really contributed to the disintegration of a game. And it's something that as a human being he's really worked on since, and I'm really proud of him for that. But it's a challenge. It can really be a challenge. We all have our things, and some umpires have difficulty handling those confrontations and feeling comfortable in asserting themselves. And other umpires have problems not overreacting and getting too much. So I'm glad Nathan Stagno got talked off the ledge there. Holy crap. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that story, Graham, and Daniel for having that exchange. Barry, I feel for new young umpires having to deal with players and sideline experts, particularly in junior matches. That is, whoa. See, now we're starting to get to another area where I'm going to have some problems. So I do umpire manage junior level tournaments, as well as senior tournaments here in Canada, where I have umpires who are very new and learning. Some of them are young, some of them are not, but they're new to umpiring. And so to me, they are all junior umpires, but especially those who are not full-fledged adults. I have very little tolerance for that kind of behavior. And I work so hard in those junior tournaments to continue to circulate throughout the players, throughout the coaches, the managers, and the fans. So as a UM, I will be walking around and I will plant myself in the middle of a group of fans. And I'll listen to what they're saying, and I will strike up conversation, and I will educate them as to what the effect of their shouting may have on people who are out there just like their kids. And I will say, would you ever accept anyone shouting at your child the way that you are shouting at my child? That is my child out there. And I get quite, as you can tell. I do not tolerate that. But I explain it with the passion and the protectiveness that I feel for those people. And that takes care of it. It really does. As soon as you can draw that parallel and you can illuminate the humanity and the purpose behind things, and I'll say, yeah, they made a mistake. So did your kid. Are you going to scream at them? Because if you are, you're a jerk. So again, it's part of that proactivity and intervening before it becomes a problem. And I will never tell a young umpire, yeah, it's something that you're going to have to deal with. And I'm like, no, this is something that we have to fix. As a community, you are not alone in this. This is not your problem to develop a thick skin over. You do not deserve to be abused. So somehow this conversation about losing our tempers on the pitch has turned more into how can we prevent the conditions under which we would lose our tempers on the pitch. is that a valid approach? I hope so. I think so. I think this is a big part of it. And it's not about shifting blame. It's about preventing a problem before it ever gets to what is clearly an outrageous solution. Yeah, when there's no COVID. Yeah, parents. It helps that I'm now of the age where I'm the same age as the parents and actually starting to get a little older than them. So being able to speak with them, I can just sort of slip into conversations. But I will talk to anybody. I will talk to anybody around a hockey pitch. I will talk to that assistant coach. I will talk to, somebody who was literally just walking by and stopped for a few minutes and has no idea what they're witnessing. And I'll be like, hey, have you ever seen a hockey match before? Let me tell you about it. And it's not because I am not naturally a real extrovert. I know you're all saying, yeah, you are, Kelly. No, actually, I'm like a mix. But my passion for trying to create the best hockey possible means that it drives me to step outside of my comfort zone and to talk to total strangers on a regular basis and let them know what I think the best way that they can help contribute to a great hockey game as well. And I want to get them on side. I want them to feel the same way that I do, that they have a part to play in this. And it involves thinking about how they react, being constructive, stifling their own emotionality, and actively preventing a culture that we witness in other sports. It's our responsibility. It is. It just is. But you know what? The reward for that, for stepping outside your comfort zone and having these conversations, is all of a sudden, you make friends. you just, and you have a good time, because once you break into these little conversational groups and these shouting matches and things like that, and you get in there, all of a sudden, you see the humanity in them as well. And I've had parents come up to me, a couple days into a tournament after I've taken one of my little intervention tours, and they've come up to me and they said, you know what, you really changed how I thought, how I was approaching my spectating here and my participation. You gave me a responsibility, and I realized that, yeah, I have a job to do as a parent here, and I'm also teaching my child how to be a good fan. And you encouraged me to pay attention to them again. And thank you for that. That's cool. Let's go have a beer. I'll be like, sure, buy me a glass of wine. I don't drink beer. I'm glad to hear that. Niels, I'm really glad to hear that. Gideon, if parents are the problem, I address that to the team coach to sort out. Yep, and you can do that. But again, all of us can do more. So that's my challenge to you. That's my challenge to you. The next time that maybe you're watching your colleagues out there and you're on the next game and you've got an hour and you've arrived at the pitch and you're watching a game unfold and you're not really sure what's happening, go mingle with people that you don't know and have a little chat and find out what are your questions, and listen to them. Don't just tell them to shut up. Listen to what they're saying and then say, okay, I hear that. I think that umpire made a mistake. But now, is that the way that you want to express that? Is it that important? Was it the worst thing that's ever happened? Do you understand what effect you've had on the game by paying attention to that instead of the person you're here to watch? All that kind of stuff. Megs, during a high school game, an opponent caused a flagrant foul by running into one of my players inside the D. The ump was in the process of giving a yellow when she let him know his call was beefsteak, and he politely issued her a red. Good. And the polite issue is fantastic. And again, I've talked, sorry, Andy, I'll put your comment back up in a sec. I hope that when we've talked about control ladders and managing a game and stepping through all of the things, so you don't wait to deal with something. The first time you see something that triggers, that is part of your management checklist, the Liz Pelling management checklist, when you see that item, you intervene. It doesn't mean you always card, but you intervene. Angry eyes, whistle, cut it out, whatever it is, you intervene. Maybe it's a green card. So that you are setting yourself up and you're pre-making your decisions. Now, when that happens again, I have to go to the next step on the ladder. I can't stay where I am on the ladder. Nobody hangs out on a ladder. A ladder is for moving up and down. So you're setting yourself up in emotion and making it very easy for you to move to the next thing. So you're not reacting out of emotion when it happens the next time. You're just like, well, I told you all to cut it out and you did it again, so I got to give you one of these. Okay, well, your choice. Again, they're choosing to react the way that they choose to react, and you have made your choice. And you made your choice when you took the previous step on the control ladder. Andy, you've had nothing too bad. Once had an under 18 player scream at you, "What are you laughing at?" when I was laughing at a joke that Rupert made over the radio. He just got a stern look from me and walked away. Yeah. Now think about it from his point of view, right? He doesn't know that. You have to be careful when you're on radios. And this is one of the things that I know that we want to have fun and we want to enjoy ourselves when we're umpiring. That's great. But we have to be careful about how we appear, and we have to put ourselves in the player's shoes. And the quiet conversations that we have to each other can really get us into trouble. So think about that the next time. And what I would be doing in that situation, if a player screamed at me because he thought I was laughing at them, I'd say, "Oh my God, no, hang on. I shouldn't have, it was a joke that my colleague made on the radio and I was laughing at that. That was awful. You know, I'm really sorry." How do you yell at somebody who's just told you you're right? You can't. Phew. You've diffused the situation immediately. You've taken responsibility for the thing that was your responsibility. And now that player is like, oh, yes, oh, that's fine. Oh, I didn't mean to yell at you. Whoa. And now you've bonded. Now you're best friends. Make best friends with people. Daniel's saying that a close friend of his as a young umpire gave up after a parent at a junior match stopped a game, stormed onto the pitch, and berated her. Ian likes the approach. Good. Usually from parents who don't understand the game. Yeah. And understanding the game is not only just understanding the rules, but understanding our culture, that is not acceptable behavior. Storming onto a pitch is not acceptable behavior, ever. Yelling from the side of the pitch is not acceptable behavior, ever. Laurent, about commentary, I've decided to do it as well when a colleague is wrong and the players or coaches are shouting. Having them shut it first and then consulting my colleague works quite good. Yeah, absolutely. You can say, "Hey, okay, I've heard you. Let me handle the situation now. Let me get the information I need." And so when you're getting dissent and abuse, you can't do your job. And they're yelling at you to do your job. So it's like, okay, great. Now it's time. And I've seen umpires in public stepping into the public as well more than once when comments are not so nice. Absolutely. Good. That makes my heart happy. 100% useful to educate parents when you are on the sideline. They rarely know the rules and they're happy to be educated. Absolutely. Like, honestly, they do appreciate it. And as long as you go in with some grace, you afford them some grace, and you are friendly and you're approachable, and I will always say things like, I'll start a conversation, and after I've had a couple words, I'll say, you know what? I'm the umpire manager of this tournament, and I'm here all the time. And if you can't find me, just ask around, just say, hey, can you help me find Keely? And if you have a question for me, come and ask me. I try to make myself so approachable and so easy to find and so accessible that they don't have an excuse. They don't have an excuse to get frustrated. And I'll say, look, if you're ever upset, come talk to me because I want to help. And they're like, wow, really? Oh, right? Phew. Again, I divert their emotion, their frustration at not understanding what's happening to their little precious out there. And I say, come yell at me. Come yell at me because I want to help and I want to figure it out with you. And I'm the one with the access to everybody. So I actually have the power to do stuff. So come yell at me. And they're like, oh, okay. Peter used to get, how are we doing for time? Are we at a Keely hour yet? Peter used to get the other pairs deferring to you on the sideline as the only qualified umpire amongst the parents watching, and hope sometimes you educated them, maybe sometimes correctly. I'm sure you did. And just the distraction factor is going to be great, right? Just that is going to be fantastic. Okay, it's been a Keely hour. I just got a WhatsApp. It also shows that umpires are a team and we support each other even if we're not on the field. Besides, everybody usually knows I'm an umpire and I'm not hiding or ducking. Yeah. You walk around with the red whistle on your clothing all the time and people know. You got hashtag third team going down your arm like I do on some of the products. It's there. Absolutely. Talking to parents and other hangers on most of the time works. Yes. Yeah, it's work, but boy, it pays dividends because again, you're not just talking to them, but then they turn around once you leave and they're talking to the other parents that maybe didn't hear and they'll be like, I know the rules now because I just got told by Keely Dunn. Let me tell you. And then all of a sudden you're exponentially increasing the knowledge and you're giving parents a reason to talk to each other and not out onto the pitch. Daniel Marsh, once I took at the club a young umpire, 15 or 16, into safety after he did a great match, one of his best, about P1, P2, not sure what that means, which one of the teams lost. We asked the parent what they were thinking. Yeah, that's good. Using violent, abusive words to a boy of just 15 or 16, would they accept it at their own children as well? Had the luck being a youngster myself, getting some help of adults. Absolutely. Okay. You're very welcome, Ian. You're very welcome for the evening. Yeah, no, I think I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon. If you guys have any more extra comments that you want to chip in, thank you so much for making the trip over to YouTube. Apparently, we're going to be doing this again next week. And it's going to be on YouTube, but the links are going to be in the Facebook event. They're going to be on stories. They're going to be on the Instagrams, on the Twitters, on the Clubhouses, tattooed on my face. The links are going to be so clear. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, that's another great way of getting the notifications. So hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and go always, and then you'll get a little notice every time. And I schedule my events in advance. I don't just like pop up live unless I do it by accident like I did yesterday. I don't just pop up spontaneously. I like to make sure that you all know so that, you know, you have a chance to sit down and enjoy the afternoon. So yeah, that's part of it. And so if you subscribe, you'll be able to set a calendar. And I'm embedding an ICS file, like a link to an ICS file in the notices. So you can click on that, you can download it and add it to your calendar because that's what I want in my life. I want every stream that I want to watch to have an ICS file so I can put it in my calendar and it's in there and blocked. Clubhouse does this and it's fantastic. So if I want to get notified of a Clubhouse room and make sure I don't miss it, you can add it to your calendar with one button. Come on, YouTube. It's not hard. It can't be hard if Clubhouse can do it. They're just a beta app. If you need an invite, iPhone, iOS, DM me. I have a few left. So, yes, you're very, very welcome, Barry. I enjoyed it very much. I hope that I gave you some useful tips and some actual techniques. Depersonalize it. Realize that your emotional reaction is a choice. Take the intervention steps early to prevent it. Help contribute to a culture where everybody is humanized and everybody is aware of the way that we want hockey to be in our worlds. A place of positivity and fun and awesomeness where people aren't screaming at each other and being mean. Ooh, you're going to practice. Bye, Megs. Thanks for joining in. Good to see you. And yes, it gives you time to get the glass of wine ready when you're subscribed. You bet. Thank you, Inga. It was fantastic. Thank you for your contributions. And Jane, yes, I'm definitely smiling today, despite all the heavy conversation. Anik, what do I think about the public responses? Not just parents, but real crowd. Yeah, I mean, that's something that if I have the chance to get into, you know, be a squad member, be an influencer. Be an influencer. Yeah, I don't like any of that beefsteak. None of it. Watching top games helps as well, says Laurent. When disabled with a knee injury, you visited a lot of them. Yep, and started to coach other umpires as well. You're welcome, Laurent. Thanks for your comments. They were fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Next week, again, don't forget, Dan Barstow talking about a World Cup semifinal, a barn burner of a game. It's going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. It is going to be on YouTube, and we're going to have a fun time. As always, any feedback you have for me, any comments, questions, hit me up on the DMs. Text me on WhatsApp. Sign up for FHU3T Green, and you will be able to WhatsApp me all the time because I put my number all over the place in the newsletter that you get every week. So I'm just saying, you get a direct pipeline into my brain, and it's fun. You're welcome, Rachel, and you're welcome, Mr. Barlow. Great to have you along. Okay, have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday, if you have any Wednesday left. I know I do. And I am going to have some lunch, and I'm going to have a meeting with my business marketing director, George Connor. And have a fantastic rest of your day, the week, and we will see you if you're in yellow for the weekend watch party on Sunday and next week for Early Tuesday. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a fantastic one, okay? Bye for now.